Okay, we start. Karl Marx. See, what you know about Karl Marx so far and what we are going to learn will be completely different. What is your idea about communism and what we are going to talk about communism will be different. This communist setup that you see here and the socialist ideas that you talk about and what we are going to talk about is different. So what Marx said, what Marx visualized and what is actually practiced, what I mean to say is completely different. So the so-called socialist societies, right, communist governments, these are not the ones which is actually visualized by Marx. Though they use the word and Marx and everything, but still that's not the case. Okay. So what we will do is, before we moving towards all those, we need to set up some base for understanding Marx. Okay. So Marx understanding is completely based on production process. So everything starts with production process. Any relation based on production process. Your relation to me, my relation to you is basically production process. It is basically economic motive. There is nothing else. This is what according to Marx. Right? For functionalist it will be different. Functionalist will see this is interdependent. Right? I want to help you or you want to get help from me, like that. It could be in a different way. It is both are mutually beneficial. But for Marx that's not the case. There will be upper class, there will be lower class. Everything is based on economic terms. Everything is production. You see anything in the society, everything is based on production process. So what we need to do now is, we need to understand what exactly is production process. Okay, so let's start with understanding what is this production process. So what we are going to do is, I'll make you write and along with that I'll explain so that it will be clear. We don't miss anything. We will go in the flow also without missing anything. In between whatever line, if you are not able to understand, we'll clarify also so that there won't be any issue with any of the line that you're writing. See, what Marx says is, if you need to survive, you need to produce. Right? If we need to survive, you have to produce something. And if I need to survive also, I have to produce and I have to exchange that, I have to make money, right? That's what I mean by production. So for my survival, I have to produce. For your survival, you have to produce. So production is very much essential. Okay, so this is what according to Marx. And we are human beings. We have needs, right? So we have basic needs. What are the basic needs? Food, water, shelter, dress, etc. Now, once we met with the basic needs, then do we have extra needs? Now we need we need a cycle or we need a motorcycle. Once we have motorcycle, then we have car. So when we have Maruti car, then we need to have BMW, right? So we have basic needs. So this is the basic nature of human beings. We have the needs. Once the needs are met, we have greeds. So how to meet all these needs and greeds? Only through production. So that is why Marx says production is very much essential and production is all about society. And all relations in society is decided and understood in terms of productive relation. So your relation to me, my relation to you is based on a productive relation, is based on a production process. A company or a factory, if you take, the employees, the supervisors, the managers, the capitalists, the owner of the company, all these have a productive relation because there is production process. An entire society, finally, you will see as a production process and all the members share a productive relation. Okay, now to undertake production, first, see, at one, I may start myself, right? But I may not be able to produce everything myself. So I need to enter into relation with others. Why? Because, see, when we start producing, but nature imposes some restrictions on you. Nature imposed restriction, it could be in terms of rain. So if I need to produce, sometimes rain may give you a constraint. Night itself is a constraint because I don't have light, right? But we have the capacity to overcome that. How we overcame the night, that dark situation, we have created all these, right? How we overcame from rain, then we have this shelter and everything. So nature imposed different restrictions, but we have the capacity to overcome all those restrictions. So human beings have that capability, right? So we always keep on facing restriction from nature. Maybe in terms of COVID, you will get some restriction, right? Or anything will keep coming. So you have the capacity, you have developed a vaccine for that. Then after that, there is no issue, right? So we have the capacity to overcome that through, again, production process. So everything is production process. Now, one single individual cannot do everything. So for you to survive, you have to, or if you need to produce, you need the help of others also. So that is what Marx says, you have to enter into relation with others. Okay, you have to enter into relation with others, and this is what he termed as relations of production. This is a very important term, relations of production. So we from here onwards refer this as ROP. Okay, so what is relations of production? We enter into relation with others in order to undertake production, produce things. So that is what relation of production. Now this relation can be of two types. Relation between man and man, between you and me, in a factory between the owner and the worker, or the supervisor and the worker, or the supervisor and the manager, or the manager and the capitalist. What is that? Man. Both are living part. So this is the living part, living relation, right? Relation between man and man. If you assume that this is a production process, it's between you and me. It's between you guys also. This is, both are living parts, right? Secondly, the relation between man and things. That means my relation with this, your relation with this. I have an ownership relation with this, but you don't have any ownership with this. So this is between man and thing. That means living and non-living. This is man and man living. This is capitalist worker, manager, supervisor, manager, worker, you, me, this. Now, man and things means in a factory, there are machines, there are equipments. So the capitalist own that machines, but the worker do not own that. So this relation is based on ownership. Those who have the ownership, they are actually the superior. They control things. Is that clear so far? So what I said is, production is essential. In order to survive, we have to produce. Nature imposed restrictions. We overcome that. We enter into relations also to undertake production. And there are two types of relation. One is relation between man and man. Relation between man and things. This is a living relation. This is a living and non-living part is there. So for example, if I want to talk about the case of a factory, the machines, the equipments, the tools, that's what I mean by things. The employees, and see here, can I include the capitalist also? Yes. Worker also? Yes. Every human being is part of this. Right? Here it is man and man. So this is a relation. Okay. Now, only with relations can you undertake production? No. You need tools, techniques, equipments, machines. Right, for me, if we need, so in this context, we need this board, we need this pen, we need the camera, we need the fan, we need all these setup, right? So you also need the tools, techniques, equipments, etc. to undertake production. And this is what he termed as forces of production. So we from here onwards will refer this as FOP. So these two are important from here onwards. ROP, relations of production, FOP, forces of production. Now forces of production again are of two types. Man, that is living, and things. So here, when I say man, that's the living part whose efforts result into production. Right, that means the workers, that involve the capitalist, that involve the superior, all these efforts will result in production. So in forces of production, living part will come and non-living part will come. So this is living and this is non-living. Now what is this? Things means what? These are the tools, techniques, equipments, machines which is required to undertake production. So you need the human effort also for the production, because here if you see, I have to put my effort, you also have to put the effort, right? Similarly in a factory, the capitalist and the manager superiors also have to put the effort. They'll have to monitor, they'll have to do effort, they'll have to invest, and the workers also have the effort. So that's what you mean by man. Things means the machines, in the factory also you'll have the machines and everything that do the rest of the job. So you understood this man and things that comes under forces of production, right? You understood relation. So to undertake production, you need to have two aspects. One is relations of production. You have to enter into relation. You also need forces. Now when we talk about relation, it could be man and things. Man and thing is based on ownership. A capitalist owns the factory, the worker do not owns it, right? And when it comes to this one, it is the living part, non-living part, the human being's effort that result into production. That's what you mean by this living part, man. And this one, things. And this Marx also call us, from here onwards you may also see means of production. Means of production. So what I mean by means of production, it is the non-living part of forces of production. So forces of production have living part, non-living part. The non-living part means what? The tools, techniques, this, machines, right? That's what the means of production. By using that, you produce. That's why means of production. By using this, production has taken place. So that's why means of production. So are we clear with this so far? Relations of production, forces of production, right? This is the core of this concept, and from here we need to see how he understands society, how this forms the base of society, and how every relation is decided based on this. All these I will discuss, but let me make you write this one first. So that we'll keep this and then we'll discuss the next step. Okay, write first. Marx says, in order to survive, man must produce. Man must produce. Man must produce. According to Marx, production of material life is the first historical act, in the history of human civilization. First historical act in the history of human civilization. It is also the starting point of history or the society. It is also the starting point of history or society. Next sentence. Production is essential for the survival of human beings. It is the fundamental condition of history. As this act is never ending, and follows and follows an evolutionary path. And follows an evolutionary path, as this act is never ending and follows an evolutionary path. Okay, so production is there all the time. If you take from the history, the beginning of the history itself till now, it is continuing, the production process. Without that, you cannot survive. That is the ultimate logic. Next paragraph. Underlying this necessity of production, Marx also holds some specific assumptions about individual. Some specific assumptions about individual. For him, human beings generate needs. Human beings generate needs full stop. Man is perpetually a dissatisfied animal. എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ എന്ത് കിട്ടിയാലും എത്ര കിട്ടിയാലും മതിയാവില്ല എന്നുള്ള ഒരു കോൺസെപ്റ്റാണ്. Man is perpetually a dissatisfied animal. Dissatisfied animal. When the basic needs are met, he create new needs. Okay അല്ലേ, basic needs എന്താണെന്ന് മനസ്സിലായി, he create new needs എന്താണെന്ന് മനസ്സിലായി, right? And that just keep on going. That is what you mean by greed also, right? There is actually unlimited needs. It just keep on going. Next, this initiate the beginning of constant struggle between man and nature. Between man and nature. This struggle reflected in terms of continuous development in the nature of production, or the way man produces things, What do you mean by that? So you have needs. When you have basic needs met, then you have greed, right? And then what will happen? There is a struggle between man and nature, and because of that itself, you start evolving in production process. For example, just think about the primitive society. എവിടുന്നാണ് ഫുഡ് കിട്ടുന്നത്? കാട്ടിലുള്ള ചെടികളും പഴങ്ങളും അതും ഇതൊക്കെയാണ് സാധാരണ കഴിക്കുന്നത്. കുറേ കഴിയുമ്പോൾ ഇത് പറ്റും, താഴെയുള്ളതെല്ലാം തീർന്നു പോകും അല്ലേ, എല്ലാവരും കൂടി എടുത്തെടുത്ത്. Then what you need to do? You need to climb, or you'll have to find something to go up. So some tools you will develop, some techniques you will find out. You may create a ladder, right? So you start evolving in terms of production. So nature restrictions konduvarum, but you will try to overcome that. Kore കഴിയുമ്പോൾ വേണമെങ്കിൽ റെയിൻ വരും. സോ അതെങ്ങനെ സോൾവ് ചെയ്യുന്നു? നമ്മൾ ഇപ്പോൾ പുതിയ ഫാക്ടറീസ് വരുമ്പോൾ വിൽ ഹാവ് ദ ഷെഡ് ആൻഡ് എവറിത്തിങ് അല്ലേ. ഇരുട്ട് സോൾവ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് നമുക്ക് ബൾബുകളുണ്ട്. സോ വി ട്രൈ ടു ഓവർകം എവറിത്തിങ്. So nature keep on imposing restriction, but we overcome from all of that over a period of time. Now right, in order to produce, next paragraph, in order to produce, man must enter into relation with others. Man must enter into relation with others. That is, man must organize for undertaking production. For undertaking production. For a capitalist, see, there is a capitalist. He developed a company, factory, machines, and everything is there. But worker is not there means nothing will happen, right? So that is what you mean by you have to organize, you have to enter into relation with others if the production process have to happen. Okay, right. According to Marx, the organization of production varies from era to era, means time to time, era to era, and society to society, and society to society. So see, the organization of production varies from time to time. So the way things are produced in 1900 and now is different, right? 1900 it was like a capitalist, he may control everything, but that's not the case now. We will be discussing further, because even you are an owner of a company, maybe, right? If you are having a Reliance share, not only Mukesh Ambani is the owner of the company. To the extent of the shareholding you have, you are also the owner. And for example, if you have 1% shareholding, you will be called and you will be informed about all the decisions and everything, right? You got my point, right? So that means anyone, it is actually diffused. There is no single capitalist who control everything. So things have changed, right? Even if you look at the managers, supervisors, the way they controlled in 1900s and now it is completely different. It is more of like, you know, cooperation, coordination, friendship, of course, pressure and everything will be there, but things have changed. So the organization of production and the relations of production also changed. Organization of production also changed. Forces of production also changed. The way you produce things then and now is different. The tools, techniques you use then and now is different. The machines now and then is different. Even a simple printing machine, if you take, different, right? Everything is different. So that's what I mean. Different society is different. Different time period, it is different. Right. Next sentence. Of course, nature impose restrictions, or of course, nature impose limitations. Of course, nature impose limitations, but it doesn't completely determine it. It doesn't completely determine it. Man have the capability to control nature. To control nature. See, initially COVID came and we had the lockdown and everything, but was that continued for a long period of time? No, right? Initially imposed restrictions, so we had to go to our home, lockdown, that scenario was there, but then we overcame that. So we have the capacity to overcome any such restriction which is imposed by nature, right? Thus, the relations are essential. Thus, the relations are essential for the production to take place. The relations are essential for the production to take place. Thus, production involve, thus venda, normally idamadi, production involve two components. One, relations of production, bracket la ROP, relations of production, ROP, and two, forces of production, FOP. Now give the subheading. relations of production. Relations of production. According to Marx, there are two types of relations of production. There are two types of relations of production. What are they? Man and man and man and things, right? First one, relation between man and man. Relation between man and man. Bracket the living. Second, relation between man and things. Relation between man and things. And the bracket the living and non-living. Living and non-living. Okay, under that you can write the relation between man and man involve. The relation between man and man involve the relationship of people. The relationship of people engaged in the production process. Engaged in the relationship between people engaged in the production process. That's the relation between man and man. For example, in a modern factory, for example, in a modern factory, the positions like manager, supervisor, worker. In the modern factory, the positions like manager, supervisor, worker, etc. are the examples of man and man. Okay. On the other hand, the relation between man and things, are one of ownership and non-ownership of things. Ownership and non-ownership of things related to the production process. Related to the production process. For example, a capitalist, നിങ്ങൾ അത് underline ചെയ്യ്, ownership and non-ownership. Okay, now write. For example, a capitalist owns the factory. Thus, this is a relation between ownership of man and things. This is a relationship between ownership of man and things. So, our capitalist and factory in the middle of ownership relation another. Worker anengilo non-ownership. But what when you add the worker hyphen it non-ownership. Explain the avashyilla, self-explanatory another. Other thing like examiner isn't avashyilla. Example or another. Randu space ulla, time ulla. So just mention worker non-ownership. Capitalist ownership. Okay. Next paragraph. According to Marx, the production has to be managed and the different relations of production symbolized different forms of management. symbolized different forms of management. Different relations of production symbolized different forms of management. The relationship between people in the existing societies is conceptualized as one of ഇത് നോക്കണേ, antagonistic cooperation. അത് ഇൻവെർട്ടഡ് കോമയിലിടുക, antagonistic cooperation. Antagonistic, antagonistic cooperation. Conceptualized as one of antagonistic cooperation. Antagonist എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താ അർത്ഥം? What does that mean? Opposites. Worker capitalist. What is their interest? Conflictual interest അല്ലേ? Opposite interest ആണ്. Capitalist wanted what? Maximum profit. Right? A capitalist, how can he make maximum profit? Worker have to work maximum time, and he don't want to give good working condition because that is more expense. He don't want to give AC or fan or anything, so that is expenses. The more the expense, the profit will come down. So he don't want to give such facilities. He want more time. He want to give less salary. That's his interest. What is the worker interest? He want better condition. That is against him. He want more wages. That is against him. He want less working time. Against him. So they are opposites, right? They are in conflictual relation. That is what antagonist relation. But still, are they cooperating? Yes. Why? For the production process. Otherwise, capitalist also cannot survive without worker. Worker also cannot survive without capitalist. So they cooperate, but it is opposites. Their thoughts are opposites, their interests are opposites, their interests are conflicting, and that is why they cooperate, but antagonist cooperation. This word is very important. Okay, antagonist cooperation. Next paragraph, next subheading, forces of production. It include two things. One, man. Bracket le living part, comma labor force. So don't misunderstand that this man means only the worker. The others who are superior also, their labor force also involved. Even capitalist also, at least spending time, effort is there, right? All these are involved in the production to take place. So capitalist also will come, supervisors, managers, workers all will come, not only workers. Two things. Bracket le non-living part. Right, Marx include human beings whose efforts results in production, comma, this include the labor as well as the entrepreneur. This include the labor as well as the entrepreneur or the capitalist. Now, next sentence, things include various means of production like a means of production എന്നുള്ളത് അണ്ടർലൈൻ ചെയ്യും. സോ അത് മനസ്സിലാക്കണം. The non-living part of forces of production is what? Means of production. Okay, so continue. Like tools, techniques, equipments, skills. Tools, techniques, equipments, skills, etc. The development of these forces of production represent man's control over nature. What does that mean? Over a period of time, we are improving in the way you produce things. Things are making easier and better. Even classroom എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ we are now at the smart board. നിങ്ങളുടെ സ്കൂളിൽ നിങ്ങൾ എങ്ങനത്തെ ബോർഡായിരുന്നു? ഒരു ചോക്ക് ബോർഡ് അല്ലേ? So the teachers struggle, they'll come with a duster and rub it off, chalk powder and everything will come. Then കോളേജിൽ എന്തായിരുന്നു? Smart that marker വെച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ബോർഡായിരുന്നു അല്ലേ? So that is better than the chalk board. Now this is even better. That effort also not. So that not only in this case, anywhere, any scenario if you take over a period of time, you know, this advancement you will see. That is indicating man's control over nature. Okay, right. These forces of production are used to transform nature into use value or exchange value. Use value or exchange value. So what I'm saying is, see, you are converting nature, which is available to everyone. For example, soil. Anyone can take that soil, right? That is part of nature. This you are converting to use value. You can use it in a way, or you can exchange this in terms of money. For example, the same soil that I'm talking about, does anyone have access? You can just go and take it. But I use some tools and techniques. These forces of production are used for what? To convert nature into use value or exchange value. So the soil I'll convert to, let's say, a brick. How? I use some equipments, I use my labor force also. So this is something which is available in nature. I convert that into a brick. Now I have a use value. I can construct a building, right? I can myself use it, or I can exchange it in terms of money. So the forces of production is actually used, which include the labor force also, tools and techniques also. So you take nature and convert that into exchange value or use value. This is just example I have given. So forces of production is used to convert nature into use value or exchange value, and this is very important term from here onwards. So where is the profit? Profit comes from here, right? This is where the profit is. And how you make the profit? By using the labor force, by using the tools and techniques, everything. The more the exploitation, more the profit. More the production, more the profit. This is what we are going to discuss in the coming sessions. Just now the concept need to be clear. Any word, any term that we are discussing, are you understanding or not, is the question today. Forces of production is clear. Relations of production is clear. Two types of each is clear. Antagonist cooperation, from here onwards, if I say, you know what is it? It is a cooperation between opposites, right? Worker, capitalist interest is contradictory, but still they cooperate. Use value, exchange value, understood? Okay, right. Next paragraph. According to Marx, there is a close relation between forces and relations of production. forces and relations of production. The relations of production change with the forces of production and vice versa. Change with forces of production and vice versa. The relations of production change with forces of production and vice versa. Means who have better forces of production, who have better tools and techniques. Based on that, you change your relation also. For example, let's say there is a farmer, okay, and he have this land. Now he want to cultivate this land, and the ploughing and all these are done by, let's say, some bullock, traditional setup, right? Assume that the traditional setup. Then what happened? Tractor came. So which one is better for you? When the farmer see, for this this person also I have to pay, and this person also I have to pay, but who will do this better? Who will do it more efficiently? Tractor. So earlier you were in connection with whom? This is your relation. But now the forces of production changed. There is someone who came with a better tool and technique. So the forces of production changed. Now what I'll do? What this farmer will do? You'll slowly cut this relation. You'll move to this. Why? Because you have better efficiency. You need to anyway have to get it done. In faster you can do. Efficient also you can do. So that is what? When the forces of, this is forces of production. This is relation of production. So this changed. So this changed to this. This keep shifting. Okay, right. There is a constant interplay between these two. There is a constant interplay between these two. According to Marx, as the production acquire complex form, it is made possible not only because of particular relations and forces, but it is a result of complex operation of so many factors present in society. Now here things are going crazy. So what they're saying, so far we discussed production, and you need relations, you need forces, so that you enter into relation and you have the tools and techniques, labor and everything, you will produce things. But when the production acquire complex form, it's at the simple form, this is fine. But now things are going large scale. Then this alone is not enough. There are some other mechanism also which have to support this from outside. But this is the fundamental, this is the core, forces and relation. There are other mechanisms also which have to support this process. And this is where we are going to bring family, religion, politics and all these. So, school, your colleges, the society, the factory need engineers. So, colleges produce engineers, right? And the capitalists need the workers to work like anything. So, religion came and tell that you suffer here, you'll get heaven there. So religion came. Now family. I know I'm getting exploited. I don't want to go to work. But I have a family, I have to feed them. Do I have any choice? I have to go. Right? So I have to go and I have to work. So all this is what I mean by the other mechanisms. So because of this only, this production process is continuing. Yes, FOP, ROP, this is a base and this is a core, but this is actually made possible, or you can expand, and at the larger level, you need the support of all these institutions. You know, for Marx, parliament is executive committee of bourgeois. Religion is the heart of heartless world, you know, the opium of masses. Family is sending you for exploitation. Because of family only you are doing all this. Otherwise, if you are an individual, you know you are getting exploited. Whatever you want, you get it and you're done. But I have no choice. I have to go because I have to feed my family. So family is created for what? To get the labor at a cheaper cost. They don't have any bargaining power now because I have a family waiting. At the same time, other side, religion is telling you, so those who don't believe in religion, you'll have to go for work because of family. Those who don't have family, then you will think that you will get heaven in the next world, and then you will go. So family is created by capitalist, religion is created by capitalist, the entire government setup is created by capitalist. Constitution is the document of bourgeois. Parliament is the executive committee of bourgeois. Okay, all these are the mechanisms that we are talking about. And all these are the surrounding things, which Marx called as the superstructure. This forces of production and relation of production is the core, economic infrastructure. These two names again is going to be very important. I'll come to that, but I just told you, FOP, ROP is the core of the society. That is the ultimate thing for production. Two important points. That's the economic base, and everything else is supporting the production process. Whether family, that's what superstructure of society. So economic infrastructure, ROP, FOP, that's the base. So this is how it is. You have this ROP and FOP. This is the core of society. Marx called this as economic infrastructure. And who create norms and values and everything of society? Capitalist. The expected behavior from you, right? So it is for Marx, it is the entire economic system create everything. So your family, religion, politics, whatever, right? Norms, values, all these are what called as social superstructure. Just remember these two words. I'll make you write, you will not forget it in lifetime anyway, because this is a fundamental concept of Marx. So what Marx says is, this is a core. Now this basically shapes the superstructure. Means based on the type of production process. In a capitalist system, what kind of family is required? In a feudal system, what kind of family is required? Everything is based on this. Family, politics, norms and values of society. So all these are actually shaped by the economic infrastructure. Now it is shaped in such a way that these will eventually help in the functioning of the system. This is the systemic view of society. For Marx, society is a system conceptualized of economic infrastructure and social superstructure. This is the core, this is the base that shape everything else. So if I am in a there are different types of society, we'll talk about that. If I am in a capitalist society, I need some types of why nowadays nuclear families are more? Because you prefer nuclear family, you need workers, free workers like that. And from now, it is changing. Now, why more of live-in relation? Why, a single parent family and all? Again, things are changing. You need more independent people, more independent women, men you need to get. Right? So things keep changing because the production process is changing. So the family system or religion or politics or your laws, your norms, values, everything is decided by this. In such a way, these will eventually help in the functioning. You understood how family is helping in the functioning of capitalism. I just give one example only. And you will, religion, this is what Marx says. Okay, just right. Thus, the influence of production is not limited to, thus, the influence of production is not limited to producing things only, but it also create other conditions, in society which make the production possible, Thus, according to Marx, a complex interplay between forces and relations of production result into a particular social formation, അത് നിങ്ങൾ അണ്ടർലൈൻ ഇൻവേർട്ടഡ് കോമയിൽ എഴുതണേ, social formation. You will see this term again and again. Social formation means nothing but society only. Okay? Social formation means society. He'll use different terms for society. Mode of production is another way in which he'll call society. So we'll see that. All these are society. Particular social formation, comma, which owes its existence to production process and still it is distinct. Next line, next paragraph. This forms the systemic view of Marx. Underline say systemic view. And a margin lay the other question on it. They can ask you Marx systemic view of society. This forms the systemic view of Marx. For him, society can be conceptualized as a system consisting of economic infrastructure and social superstructure. So society for Marx is a system which consists of economic infrastructure and social superstructure. Diagram you can draw later, just right now. So society is a system which comprises of economic infrastructure and social superstructure. Economic infrastructure means ROP, FOP. Social superstructure means all the elements you see in society, everything else. Anything you see in society that comes under your schools, your colleges, your religion, your family, everything comes under. The college system is designed in such a way that it will produce the labor for the factories. Okay? Right. Superstructure. Marx uses different terms for society in different texts. Marx use different terms for society in his different texts. The terms social formation, mode of production, etc. can be broadly understood as society. Can be broadly understood as society. Next paragraph. As the economic infrastructure change, the superstructure also change. As the economic infrastructure change, the superstructure also change. Now listen, economic infrastructure means this. Economic infrastructure means it's society only. Different types of society, different types of mode of production. That we will discuss in the next session in detail. We'll see different types of ancient society, feudal society, which is based on agriculture, then capitalist society, which is based on this capitalist worker relation, factories, then socialism, communism, different society we will see. In different societies, the FOP and ROP will be different. The relation between now capitalist society, worker capitalist. In feudal system, it is different one, lords and serfs. In ancient system, it is masters and slaves. Stratification we just mentioned the point under. Means this relations will be different. The tools and techniques also will be different. So that means if this is different, this will also be different. So in feudal system, the schools etc. will be different compared to the schools now. You don't want engineers there, right? Here you need more engineers because engineers are the easiest one to get exploited, right? Okay, now right. Economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure. This one. They see this economic infrastructure shapes the superstructure, which in turn help in the functioning of economic infrastructure, which in turn help in the functioning of economic infrastructure. Thus, the total organization of society, according to Marx, is based on the nature of production. The nature of production means how your relations and forces are there. Based on that, rest of the things, your ways of thinking, your education system, your political system, your cultural system, your religion, your family, everything will be like that. Based on this, based on demand of this. Feudal system need a joint family because everyone is going to the for farming only, right? So you need a joint family. That setup. You'll just wake up, go work, come back. You need that setup. Now that's not the case. This diagram adila. Economic infrastructure. The full light relations of production and forces of production. Shapes, functioning. This is ways of, this is a social superstructure. Social superstructure. You can write inside also, no issue. Ways of thinking. Social superstructure completed now. Fill it. Ways of thinking. values, ideas, social institutions. Social institutions. അതിൽ സോഷ്യൽ ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നതാണ് എന്ത്? എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും, ഫാമിലി, റിലിജിയൻ, പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ സിസ്റ്റം, എഡ്യൂക്കേഷണൽ സിസ്റ്റം, എല്ലാം, എവറിത്തിങ് വിൽ കം അണ്ടർ ദാറ്റ്. വെൻ ഐ സേ സോഷ്യൽ ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ, all these will come. Do you want to write again in that? വേണമെങ്കിൽ ബ്രാക്കറ്റിൽ F, P, like that you can just mention. Family, religion, politics, education, everything. Education system means school, college, everything will come. Complete it. ROP, FOP. This is the core economic infrastructure. This is the social superstructure. This economic infrastructure shape the superstructure, which in turn help in the functioning. ഈ ഡയഗ്രാം വരച്ചിട്ട് തന്നെ നിങ്ങൾ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യണം. Okay, another person also represented the systemic view of society of Marx in a different way. You can just draw that also. This is the core economic infrastructure, means ROP and FOP. Draw. Family, religion, politics, education, Marx's systemic view of society, given by Fletcher. You don't want to know this name or write this name. You can just draw this diagram if they ask this question. Systemic view of society, just write this. Core, economic infrastructure, ROP, FOP, nature. This is family, religion, politics, education, and so that's why dotted lines. So many other institutions. Values, norms, thinking, everything. Done? Now, yeah, we are almost done with that initial concept. Now his view on individual. Just two terms you need to know. That's this being and social being. This I will discuss in more detail when it comes to the theory of alienation. That's the third theory. But I'll give you an idea of this. When I say, when you call me a teacher, This is what I am to the society. That is social being. But inside of me, what I am truly is, I may be a different person, I may be able to do different things also, right? So that is your being. What you originally are, what are your original potential, that is your being. But you see me as a teacher, which is my social role, that is my social being. You're a student, that's a social being. So these terms, like doctor, what is that? Social being. Engineers, social being, right? Or the supervisors, managers, MD, clerk, all these are social beings. What you originally are, that is being. That's the understanding that you need to have. So when I say worker, it is a social role. It is a social being. When I say capitalist, social being. That person will be completely different to his family also. That person will be internally also completely different. Right? His skills again may be different than what you do. In a capitalist society, you may be working for someone, but your actual skill may be something else. Right? So that is what being. Originally you are. But what you are known as, that is social being. So all these terms associated with you. Doctor. So when I say Dr. X, it's a social being. Right. Apart from developing, next paragraph. Apart from developing a linkage between production and society, a linkage between production and society, Marx also examines the influence of production on individual consciousness. Full stop. Particularly, the individual consciousness falls within the domain of superstructure. The individual consciousness falls within the domain of superstructure. So your consciousness is part of this, the ways of thinking, norms, values, etc. is this, which is decided by this. So what is your position in the society, that actually decides the way you think also. Right? Your consciousness is actually decided by that. So if you are at the top, the way you think also will be like that. If you are at the bottom, the way you think also will be like that. So your social role is the reason why you think in such a way. So a doctor will think in this way. An IAS officer will think in this way. Okay? So yours, that position where you stand, that decides the way you think also. A worker will think that way, capitalist will think that way. That is his position in the production process. Your consciousness is shaped by your position in the production process. Okay? There is a very famous statement, and this statement they used to ask as a question also. Just listen to this and see if you can understand. It is not the consciousness of a man that decides his existence. Rather, it is the existence that decides your consciousness. Means where you stand, that's what decides your consciousness. Not your consciousness decides where you stand. If you stand at the top, you are an IAS officer, your consciousness will be like that. If you are a capitalist, your consciousness will be like that. If you are a worker, your consciousness will be like that. So it is your social existence that decides your consciousness. This question was there. 2-3 times it has been asked. It's a very famous statement also by Marx. Right. Then there is the domain of superstructure. Next sentence. The consciousness of man, the consciousness of an individual, the consciousness of an individual is influenced by the person's position the person's position in the process of production. In the process of production. So you are a student, right? So you think in that way. In simple terms, your mind, your thoughts, your consciousness is decided by the work that you do. A police officer, his consciousness will be based on his work. Sometimes it can be frustration, sometimes it can be good, right? So depending upon the work you do. A doctor, it will be like that. So based on the work that you do, your consciousness will be. Next, continue. To further clarify the idea of consciousness, Marx distinguished between this being and social being. Being and social being. Right. Being is the basic nature of man. Being is the basic nature of man, independent of his existence. Independent of his existence. What does that mean? Independent of what you do, otherwise in society, what you really are. That is your original you. Right? So, you may be a doctor, but originally, inside of you, you may be a different person. But when it comes to society, you talk like a doctor, you behave like a doctor, you think like a doctor, you act like a doctor, like that only. So that is social being. So social being, right? Social being, okay, wait. Next line. According to Marx, this being is perpetually dissatisfied. According to Marx, this being is perpetually dissatisfied. Full stop. Further, Marx's conception of being is in terms of a creative humanism. Creative humanism. That is, creativity is essential for his nature. Creativity is essential for his nature. We will be studying about this later. So what actually I'm saying is, you may have assigned a social role. That is social being. This doctor, engineer or whatever. But that is one job that you are doing for your survival. But that is not what you are originally. Originally, you are a creative humanism. You can do many things. Creativity is essential for that human being, the being. Right? You can do multiple, the social role that you do may be a small part of what you originally are. That you are doing for survival. Okay, for existing in society you are doing it. Otherwise, you are a creative humanism. You can do, there is a very famous statement also, I can be a hunter in the morning, fisherman in the afternoon, herdsman in the evening, and I can criticize after dinner. But without having, without being known as a hunter or a fisherman or a herdsman or a critic. Means I am not assigned to any specific tags. I can do many things. This is what the being. You ignore the statement. I don't want to make it complicated. But what my point is, being is a creative humanism. He can do many things. Social being means I'm a teacher. So what you see me as a teacher, what you know about me as a teacher. But that may not be the case. You may have multiple other skills also. So you are a creative humanism. Okay, that is being. Social being is a teacher. Right, next sentence. Social being refers to the existence of individual in society. The existence of individual in society. Okay, underline that. The social being is one's place in the process of production. The social being is one's place in the process of production, defined by the nature of activity performed by an individual. The nature of activity performed by an individual. So what you are saying, what is social being? It is your place in the production process. That means you may be here, you may be here, you may be here, and it is defined by what job you do, what you perform. Are you a supervisor? Are you doing a manual job at the lower level? Or are you just handling the machine? Are you doing the packaging? Are you assembling the final part? Right? Depending upon the activity that you do, it is actually defined. It could be a worker, it could be a manager, it could be a supervisor, it could be a head level, it could be a CEO, it could be a MD. That's your social being. It is depending upon the nature of work you do and also your position in the production process. Simply factory if you take, that is a production process. Okay. For example, the terms workers, managers, etc. denote social being. Thus, according to Marx, the individual consciousness in society is determined by one's social being rather than being. That's it. So last line on the വായിച്ചോക്കൂ മനസ്സിലായി നോക്കൂ. Your consciousness is determined by social being, what role you do, not being. So I'll just summarize once again. We started off with production, right? And production is essential for the survival. Production is the first historical step according to Marx, and nature imposed restrictions, we overcome that, and to produce we need two components. What are they? Forces of production and relations of production. Now relations of production, what are that? Man and man, that is a living, and then man and things, that's the living and non-living. This is based on ownership. Capitalist, machine, it is based on ownership relation. Now FOP, which is based on man, that include the labor, capitalist and everything, and then things, that's the tools and techniques, etc., which is used for production. This is what also called as means of production. This is not the short form. There is MOP, means modes of production. That's a different context. I'm just writing here means of production. That means the non-living part of forces of production is what? Means of production. Okay. Now we have also discussed certain concepts like use value or exchange value. You know this? Any question? No, right? You use the tools, forces of production and relation of production to convert the nature to use value or exchange value. Either you can use or you can exchange in terms of money. Okay. Then we discussed about the relation, but this relation is antagonist cooperation. Antagonist cooperation means you cooperate, but it's the cooperation between the opposites. It's like day and night. So the capitalist and worker, their interests are contradictory, but still they cooperate because the production have to take place. Then we have seen economic infrastructure, which means the FOP and ROP, that is a core, that is a base that shapes the social superstructure that comes with all the family, religion, social institution, norms, values, etc. So economic infrastructure shapes or create this, and this will help in the functioning of the system. Then what? And that systemic view anyway, that is very simple. The forces of production change, relation of production also change, and vice versa. And being and social being, very clear. Any question anywhere here? These are the main concepts that we need. After that, the theories are very easy. Three theories, it's very easy. So this is a systemic view of society. So if you get a question on his idea about individual and society, you need to write this. Idea about individual is what? Being and social being. Okay. Any questions? If you are okay with these concepts, then we are done. And we'll see tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. Tomorrow I have a meeting. We'll see Thursday. Okay, take a break tomorrow. Read this, and we'll see you on Thursday.